What do you think about the ice maker?
Just turn it around so I can see myself.
Oh, you just want to see yourself, don't you? Alright guys, this is our Igloo 102 STSM ice maker. I've been promising you a review on this ice maker for quite some time and just haven't gotten around to it. It's a stainless steel little portable ice maker, and the claim is up to 26 pounds of ice per day, and it will make ice in 7 minutes. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna power it off. I just actually got ice out of it. It just made ice, and so what I'm gonna do is power it off, and then what I'll do is start a timer, and we'll see how long it actually takes it to make ice from me powering it on. So this video will be a little bit segmented, just because of me kind of waiting, making sure that it's kind of from startup, and we'll see how long it takes from startup to make that first batch of ice. It's really nice. We've been able to take and buy 2 bags of ice, throw into our cooler, and from there really just take and dump what we get from this ice maker on top of it, and pretty much been able to sustain the entire time, or our entire trip, what we need in our cooler. Last time we were down here in June, July, you know, we're hitting temperatures of in the 90s, and we didn't see, well, we saw a lot of ice melt, but we never got to the point where we were just like, oh no, we're gonna run out of ice, we're gonna have to go buy a bag. So up front we bought 2 bags, and we're able to keep it full using the ice maker. Now I would say the one thing that drives me crazy about the ice maker is, and I'll take the scoop out right here. So your reservoir is probably a little under a gallon. I think it claims to be a gallon, but it's probably a little bit under a gallon. And that's for your water fill. And then here, the actual ice container where the ice dumps into is relatively small. There we go. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to get it to reset, so it's dropping some of the ice that it started making in there. So we'll get this to reset completely before we start, so we can get an accurate time on how long it takes for it to make ice. I just washed my hands too, for any of the neat freaks out there. Germaphobes, I should say. But you know, it has about a gallon reservoir. It can't make as much ice as there is water, because it'll ultimately say this little bucket or container is full, and there'll still be water in the reservoir. So if you are out at the park all day, your ice maker just can't be making ice up to the point that you get back and you're like, oh, look at that big bucket of ice I've got to dump in my cooler. No, it will fill up, it will stop making ice until the ice that's in there, essentially it melts, and once it melts, it goes back down into the reservoir, and we'll start the whole process over if it hits the fill line point. And I'm not exactly sure how it measures it to cut off, but it hits a certain point and it cuts it off, and it won't make any more ice. That's the thing that drives me, I guess, the craziest, is it just doesn't have a big enough of a reserve for the ice that it's making. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop the recording right now. I'm going to make sure that it warms up a little bit. When I start the recording back, it's basically going to be a from start to finish process in how long it takes to make the ice. So I'll actually set a timer on my Fitbit, and I'll show you. I'm not going to let the camera just record for 7 minutes of nothingness, but I'll show you where I start my Fitbit, and then I'll start it back around the time that I hear the first batch drop, and I'll show you what the timing looks like on my Fitbit. All right guys, here we go. We're back. Alright, so you can see power's off. The water reservoir is full. It's probably been 5 minutes, 10 minutes since last. It's not completely like it just came out of a hot box, but I really haven't noticed any big changes if it's hot or if it's already cold as far as how long it takes to make the ice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually put the camera down for just a half second, maybe a little longer. Get to the stopwatch on my Fitbit. Let me start that. Alright, so I started the stopwatch. Let me see if I can get that to focus. Alright, well, there we go. So it's 13 seconds in. So we'll know to subtract roughly 13 seconds from the time I hit the on switch. Alright. And it started the ice making process, and I will check back in after it drops the first batch of ice. All right. All right, guys. So see my watch. We're about 7 minutes, coming up on that 7:13 mark. Remember, we started about 15 seconds in, and the ice hasn't dropped. I would say that was more like a cool start, wasn't a warm start because it wasn't out of the box, been riding in the back of the truck all afternoon. But it was shut off for a few minutes just to kind of let it warm back up to be at a normal start temperature. So we're past the 7 minute mark, which it claims it does ice in 7 minutes, but I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt and say it's about 7 minutes in between after it gets cooled off. So I will check back in a few minutes. Hopefully in the next couple of minutes it will have made its first batch of ice, and then what we'll do is time from that drop to the next drop to see if it truly is ice within 7 minutes of each other.
Daddy.
Arya also wants to tell you something. What do you think about the ice maker?
Just turn it around so I can see myself.
Oh, you just want to see yourself, don't you? All right. Now, what do you think about the ice maker?
Are those ice gonna fall?
Oh, now, I was planning on turning this off. However, it looks like, there we go. So, it took 8 minutes and roughly about 25 seconds, if you subtract the time that we started with, to have the first drop of ice. So I'll open it briefly, just show you what the cubes look like. And this was set to the large setting too. So it has two sizes, small and large. And you can see on the front, see if that'll focus. It tells you when to add water, tells you when the ice tray's full, and then your two sizes. I mean, feature wise, very few features, but it does what it's supposed to do. Alright, so let me open this just a quick second. And there is our cube of ice. We were at about 8 minutes and 40 seconds when it dropped to the tray. So we'll check back in once the next drop hits to give you a good idea of the actual timing. Alright guys, so we're sitting at about 15, almost 16 minutes on my watch. I think if you remember last time it was at about 8:39, 8:40 whenever the first drop went. So we're just over the 7 minute mark, and because of that, looks like it's going to take a little bit longer to make the ice than 7 minutes. So I'm actually just going to hang out and keep it on here for a minute to see if it'll make it in about that 8 minutes and 40 seconds that from the first drop, like the first time. And that may be because of the large setting, and maybe at a later point I'll change it to the small setting and see how quickly it'll make ice on small. Alright, so we're at 16:45, and yep, there we have, starting to move. No time like right now for my phone to ring. And we have some more ice. And I don't know if you can see in there, you can kind of see the action. And then it dumps it into the tray. So there, it's in the tray. I don't know if you can see it in the back. You can just tell that it's almost like a condenser coil in the back. And what happens is it freezes the ice as the water runs over the coil. So, all right. So more to come. Overall, you know, we're happy with this ice maker. Again, I think my biggest complaint would be I wish that the tray were larger, because again, if you're not here and not able to sit here and dump it into your cooler all day long, that presents a problem. I guess one disclaimer with our cooler is we do have a Yeti cooler. We have a Yeti 65. You know, I like our Yeti. I know some people would be like, oh, they're too expensive, you can get other coolers for cheaper. I've heard great things about Arctics and some of the other off brands, and you know, that's fine. I just wanted to make sure people know what our cooler is, and that we're not in one of the thinner, more flimsy coolers, because it hasn't sat out in the sun on some 90-degree days, and we've been able to keep bags of ice in there for 2 or 3 days with just a little bit of ice melt, not a ton of ice melt. So that's our review of our Igloo portable ice maker. If you have questions, just put them in the comment. Oh, I guess I did leave this off. This was actually a gift. It was a birthday present. It did come from Sam's Club, and at the time, I think it was running about $99. These things run anywhere between, I think, $80 and $109 on Amazon. So just as far as pricing goes. All right, again, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and we'll be glad to answer. If we need to fire it back up to do some tests, we will.